you guys haven't been here before, my name is Chef Steve. I'm a charity-based food and drink streamer. We have a charity stream team called Good Cause Crusaders, and we've raised over $260,000 in 2 years in this little tiny community that could. You don't have to be a streamer to be a part of our team.
Hey, welcome, welcome, welcome. Today is the day for apple pie. Let's go, dude. Chopstick, community meal redemption, Freya, Indian tacos with fry bread, community meal redemption. It's going down today, dude. It's going down today. And we're gonna have a lot of food and just this guy to eat it. Just this guy to eat it. So I don't know how that's gonna go down. I'm gonna give it my best shot. I'm gonna go in on it, but also I got to stream later for a roundtable gang. So I want to pull our dough. So we made our pie dough last night. It's definitely nice and firm. It's got Chef Steve's butt rub in the dough as well. So we're gonna let this chill for a second on the counter. I'd say one of the first things we do to get this started is we got to peel some apples and we got to cut some apples down. And we'll get a pan out and we'll start the whole cooking process for the apple pie. We'll roll out the dough once we get all the apples peeled and in the pan. That way I can throw the pie dough after we roll it out back in the freezer. Once that cheddar ice cream melts on top of this warm pie, it's going to be pretty nutty. Because last night when we made the ice cream base, I couldn't get enough of that. Like I was pretty much blown away. It's a sharp cheddar cheese. And I started out by making a custard first, and then stirred in the cheddar cheese when the custard was warm and finished. And the flavor on it tastes like a creme brulee, but cheddar. Perfect. I don't like green apples in an apple pie. They add like tartness. I want this to kind of almost be like a savory apple pie. Okay, so apples cut. Apples cut. Let's get a pan and let's start to make this pie filling. All right, so let's grab a few tablespoons of this butter. Let's get it in this pan. All right, so we got a big old scoop of butter going on. Let's make sure the pan's completely coated. All right, so we're not trying to like sear or anything like that to these apples. We're just kind of trying to cook them down and get the moisture out of them. So we're working at like, you know, medium. We don't really need high. We don't really need medium high. Not just yet. So that's the plan. Just make sure they're kind of spread out. So they're, you know, touching the pan. Pretty simple. Apple pie is a pretty easy thing to do. So, like I said, we're going to let this cook for a second. We are going to be using the Creme-Delish today. You guys know how much I love the Creme-Delish. Exclamation point Delish in chat. You can order it yourself. This stuff should be in every household next to the flour in your cupboard in a container. I swear by this stuff. There's tons of YouTube videos out there of me and other Twitch streamers using this product to make amazing stuff. So really excited to put this on the apple pie because we haven't used it for apple pie yet, and I already know it's going to be good. In apple pie, it's exactly kind of the whole flavor profile of apple pie. A cinnamon vanilla culinary powder that can be utilized for so many different things. The nutmeg. You also want to be careful with this stuff. It's pretty potent. It's pretty potent. So we're just going to give it a light little sprinkle over the apples just to give it that little bit of flavor. Profile kind of thing that I'm looking for. All right, so we got our apples cooking down in butter with a little bit of nutmeg. I'm not going to put any cinnamon in this. We are going to add a little bit of salt though, because the cinnamon and the vanilla flavor I'm going to be getting from the Creme-Delish. So we don't need any cinnamon.
The salt, though, is a must. Not a lot, just a little bit. I'm also gonna grab some sugar, because what's an apple pie without sugar? Maybe 3/4 of a cup. I don't want a full cup. I don't want this apple pie completely sweet. All right, so 5 tablespoons. Probably too much, but is there really too much Creme-Delish? Let's be real here. We want that vanilla cinnamon flavor. You know, we want the apple pie to have that good vanilla cinnamon flavor, so we're going to use that good Creme-Delish. That's just how this works. If you want that good flavor, you use that good Creme-Delish. Make sure you check out getcremedelish.com. All right, so once we added our sugar and our Creme-Delish, you should smell it in here, number 1. Number 2, it made a pan caramel immediately. There's a ton of like juice in here from the apples and sugar. It made like a perfect caramel, which is what we want. So we're gonna let that cook for another couple minutes maybe, so that sugar kind of dissolves a little bit more out. We're gonna tighten this all up with the cornstarch and the flour. And then we're gonna let this cool down, and then we'll start rolling out the dough. All right, so let me turn it up a little bit more. We'll start putting some of this in there. And like I said, I want it nice and chunky. I want you to get like decent chunks of the pork. I want to use most of the bark in this as well. All right, so we got the pork in there. We got the apples. We got that caramel sauce working with the Creme-Delish. Let's deglaze with some apple cider. You always want to give your apple cider vinegar. You always want to give your little vinegar a shake. All right, we're going to probably do like maybe a tablespoon. Apple cider vinegar is a must for pork. We'll do 2, maybe a teaspoon, maybe 2 teaspoons of this cornstarch. We're kind of winging it. What this is going to do, it's going to help thicken the caramel sauce that's in the pan from the sugar and the Creme-Delish and the apple juice. And I might put a little bit of flour in here too. We'll maybe do like a tablespoon of flour to go with the cornstarch. Essentially, we're going to make a roux out of the butter, the vinegar, the liquid. All right, and then we'll turn this up a little bit so that way it can cook down. We can cook it out. You definitely want to cook it for a few minutes once you add the flour and the cornstarch. So Matt and Mike, the Bears fan, and Maya all donated $25 no chemo parties to the kids. We're 25 away from a red wagon. We passed 6,100 on the campaign. What a blessing y'all are this morning. What a blessing. So look, the caramel now is sticking, you know, the caramel sauce that we made is now sticking to the apple. The flour, the cornstarch thickened the whole little sauce up. Look at the glaze on that. And then there's like chunks of pork mixed into this, which is pretty insane if you think about it. Look, so all that caramel and all that pork is like sticking to this apple. We already tried the pork with an apple slice raw, paired very good together. So now let's see what happens with all that caramel, that heat, that creme brulee. Go! I'm telling you, dude, this smoked pork apple pie I just put in my mouth is out of this worldly, undescribable. So these apples are nice and soft. The sugar and the Creme-Delish, which is the cinnamon, the vanilla, the nutmeg, the butter, the smoke on the pork, the bark. It was ridiculous. It was ridiculous. And it's not even in the pie crust yet. So the pie dough. Yesterday we made this so it sat overnight in the fridge. I've had it pulled out of the fridge for, an hour or so it's softened up a little bit. That butter, that shortening. Also, I need to grab my flour out of here because we are going to have to do a light dusting. Okay, so what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this in half, and we'll save half for the top and half for the bottom. So the first half, let's go ahead and put this back in the fridge for now. And now this second half, let's go ahead and roll this out. So this is flour, butter, shortening, butt rub. Look at all the orange speckles from the butt rub. And sugar. That's it. Easy pie dough. Let's get some flour on each side of this. And now let's get some flour here on the counter. Kind of help keep them from sticking. It feels really good. The texture of this feels really good. So it should be nice and flaky. Because right now it's kind of like crumbly as it is. Remember, you can't mess up a pie dough. I mean, if it's hard to roll out or hard to work with, just take your time. Don't get frustrated. It's repairable. If pieces break off, all you got to do is peel them off and stick them back on there. This pie dough is going to be epic because of the butt rub, in my opinion. It's going to kind of add that extra flavor, that extra touch. But also you got to remember the shortening and the butter are really sticky. So it's kind of a pain in the butt to roll out. But we're kind of looking for just big enough to cover the pie pan. Thickness. The thicker, honestly, the better, because the apples and all that stuff, when they cook, are going to have a little bit of moisture coming out. So if it's too thin, the bottom of the crust to be a little soggy. So you definitely want like a little bit of thickness to the bottom of the pie dough. Pie doughs are meant to be like flaky, so this isn't an odd thing that is doing this. I also love the color of this though. The butt rub speckles in there are pretty cool. I'm gonna throw this in the freezer and let it cool down. Look at all these. We're losing the pie the longer I hold it. So let me stick that back on there and let's get it in there and let it cool down. So we had a 4-pound pork butt that we smoked all night. And this is all that's left. I left, actually, this little piece of bark. I took all the pieces that had the bark and put it in the pie, and I left like all the middle sections that are barkless for me to snack on. But this is all that's left out of a 4-pound pork butt. It went all night at 200 degrees. And then we shredded it all up when we cooked down the apple pie filling. So we sliced up the apples, peeled them, sliced them, cooked them down with some butter till they got a little bit soft, and then we added 3/4 of a cup of sugar, a little bit of nutmeg, and then 5 tablespoons of Creme-Delish, which this is a vanilla cinnamon powder. Everything that I've put this in so far has been amazing. We've done plenty of different stuff. Definitely watch all the YouTube videos out there on cremedelish.com. On YouTube, dude, he's made like 5 or 6 videos, 7 videos with me. There's videos with It's Me Salty, Kelly Cakes, Chef Rob's Creations. A bunch of people are using the culinary powder. So if you're wondering what it can be used for, you missed some of the streams before when we used stuff that we made with it, check out the YouTube to see the videos. They turned out awesome. But this candy is something that I'm very often, am I speechless? I talk a lot, let's be real here. But I am completely speechless. I'm speechless with the flavor with how good this is. So instead of cheddar cheese, we made cheddar ice cream. And this is the ice cream base. We just have to whip it up. And I got it just chilling, sitting out. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm probably gonna do like 425, maybe for like 15-20 minutes, and get like get some good color going. I think what I wanted to do is the 425 for 20 minutes, I wanted to kind of help the bottom of the crust. Because there's nothing worse than an apple pie that has a soggy bottom. Y'all know the soggy bottom blues. And so I think I'm gonna do 425 for maybe 15-20 minutes and see if we can get the bottom to get a nice little sear or char going on. And then I'll probably turn it to maybe like 375, and we'll let it cook for another 30 or 40 minutes until it's done. And look how perfect this turned out too, by the way, as far as like, you know, the height, the amount, everything in here is awesome. We did a 4-pound pork butt, and I probably used all of it other than a half a pound. I got this much left over, which isn't much. I picked off all the bark and put all the bark mostly in there. So I only got this much left over out of the 4-pound pork. And then I did 7 apples. I did 7 apples. So it was like it was meant to be almost. I don't know how we pulled this off. But we did. We pulled it off. And then we put our Chef Steve's brand butt rub in the pie dough, by the way, too. So look at all those orange speckles. It's speckled up, dude. Let's grab our parchment paper. This way we can flip it onto the pie itself. And then what we're gonna do is we'll make an egg wash and get some sugar, and we'll sprinkle the sugar on top of the egg wash that we rub onto the pie. So the top of the pie crust, I have that nice little sugary thing going on when we go to eat it. I love the orange speckles in here. This is going to be great. I put butt rub on pretty much everything. But this is a first. I don't think I've ever put butt rub in a pie dough. I put butt rub on cookies, brownies, things of that nature. Ice cream, fruit, vegetables, and whatnot. But I don't think I've ever done it in a pie dough. And it seemed fitting to do it for this pie. So if you guys haven't been here before, we are a charity-based food and drink stream. We raise money for children with cancer, mostly St. Jude and Starlight Children's Foundation, which we're getting ready to change our St. Jude campaign over to Starlight for the next few months. September is coming up, which is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, and it's a huge thing here on this channel. And then after this, we're making Indian tacos with fry bread. And we already made our fry bread dough while we were waiting on the filling for this to cool down. If you haven't seen Indian tacos before, they're pretty epic, and fry dough is like some of my favorite stuff. It's basically like a puffy flour dough that we're gonna fry off in a pan and build the taco on top of. I do want to cut a couple little air pockets in here. Because it will need that. That apple and pork and all that moisture needs a way to escape. We did tighten it up though, like I said, with some cornstarch and flour, but still it's gonna need a little way to escape. So all right, so we got some nice egg wash. All right, check it out. Here it is. Let's put this sucker in the oven, man. It's been a long-awaited journey to get to this point. But we got the butt rub, the sugar, the pork, the apple, the caramel, the pie filling,
everything. Let's go. Look at that. Apple, Crème-Delish, meat-filled goodness. Held up perfect. It's set perfect. It's still steaming. Look at that. So now let's get a scoop of that cheddar cheese ice cream on here. Eat it together. So the ice cream is melting into it, but it should add some cool little flavor going on. Dude, it's like a different world. So the pork, honestly, the first thing you get is the apple, the cinnamon, the vanilla cinnamon Crème-Delish. First thing you get. The cheddar ice cream, you can take it or leave it. Is it cool that it's there? Yes. Does it add like a certain like good, in a way, good creaminess? The contrast of the cold of it with the warm of the pie? Yes. But does it need to be there? No.